Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 106 of Crunch Time with the N326 duo. I'm your host, Sam Gotti, and with me today, as always, is my guy, Tanner Dislin. Tanner, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, man. We got some good things going on in the sports world, of course. We mention it every week. Baseball playoffs are in full effect. I'm rocking my Diamondbacks, of course, taking on the Phils. Phils, thank you for your service. You eliminated the Braves. Now I want you to lose every game possible. Diamondbacks got a big win today. We'll talk about that a little bit later, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of good stuff going on. We got a action-packed episode for y'all. We're going to be discussing winners, losers, talk about some college football week 7 action, plus some NFL week 6 action. We're going to wrap up, as we always do, with week 8 of Pick'em and questions of the episode. We talk about this and so much more on episode 106. Tanner, let's start as we always do. Who's your winner of the episode?
Yeah, man. My winner of the episode is going to be the long ball because, as we all know, chicks dig the long ball. So far this year in the MLB postseason, teams that hit the ball far are the teams that are winning. There are 4 teams left in the championship series. The Phillies, the Diamondbacks, the Astros, and the Rangers. Those teams have combined for, guess how many home runs you think they've combined for so far in the postseason?
I know the Phils have hit a lot. I'm gonna go 40.
58.
Oh my god.
58 home runs those teams have combined for
Jeez.
in the postseason. Now, obviously, they've played a few more games because they've been in it longer, but the teams are Phillies hit 19, Houston and Arizona have hit 14, and Texas have hit 11. The next up in that list is 3 for Baltimore, 1 for Milwaukee, 7 for Minnesota, 3 for Atlanta, and 1 for the Dodgers. None for Tampa Bay, Miami, and Toronto. So, yeah, they played a few more games, but have the next closest has 7 in Minnesota, and Minnesota only played 2 less games than the highest on here.
Jeez.
So
That's crazy.
A lot of people hitting home runs, but in those series, I mentioned earlier, Arizona played Philadelphia. We're recording on Thursday, so they played on Thursday during the late afternoon. They actually won that game, hit a walk-off single by Ketel Marte. So the D-backs are back in it. That series is 2-1 Phils after the Phils just kind of dominated at the bank. And then in the Rangers and Astros, we got the Rangers took 2 in Houston to start off the series. Then they went back. They went over to Arlington in Texas, and Houston won game 1 on the road. Houston has jumped out to a 3-0 lead in game 2 on the road. So we could have shades of the 2018 World Series, Sam, or excuse me, 2019 World Series, where Houston and the Nationals went back and forth on winning road games. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of good baseball being played for sure. For my winner, of course, we got to show love when Iowa is involved, and that is, of course, Iowa women's basketball. They had the crossover at Kinnick last weekend and broke a record. Most attended women's basketball game at 55,646 people showed up. They played, oh my gosh,
played the DePaul, didn't they?
DePaul, yeah. And Caitlin Clark finished with a triple-double as she always does. And all of the proceeds went to the Iowa Children's Hospital. You probably know of that because of the wave. They did the wave at this as well. So very cool event and a big step for women's basketball for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those special moments. We talked about it a little bit when Nebraska, did their volleyball. But I remember I didn't watch the whole game, but I watched a lot of the pregame stuff and seeing what it meant. Just like I remember specifically with the Nebraska one, like their coach, who's been the head coach for a long time, been a great head coach. I mean, they're a borderline dynasty over there.
Yeah.
And he finally gets to do something like a tunnel walk, right? And the
Yeah.
whole stadium's screaming for him. The stadium's packed, and similar with Iowa women's basketball. I mean, Lisa Bluter's been here forever.
Yeah.
And she's done a really, really good job in seeing so many people support her program, cheer for her team, what it meant for her girls, like the way when they were walking down, like the smiles on their faces, they were just looking around, trying to take it all in. It was really special. They, the stuff at the hospital, they did the wave, they had the kid captain.
Yeah.
Shout out to DePaul. DePaul also actually brought some stuff for the kid captain as well.
Yeah.
Donated some money. It was
cool.
really cool. So yeah, just an all around great moment. I think it worked better than I expected. I expected a basketball game outside in October in Iowa to not have good weather, but it looked like it was at least okay for the players and not freezing cold.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, all around success. It was freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. So Tanner, let's flip on the other side of the coin. Who is your loser?
Yeah, so my loser of the episode is going to be NFL wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. He had a tough start to Thursday night. Now, Thursday night, I guess it's a week ago now because we are recording later this week. But the Broncos were playing the Chiefs, and on the Thursday night crew is Steve Smith Sr. Remember him from his time with the Panthers? Really, really good wide receiver. Well, he has a podcast, and he was talking about Jerry Jeudy, and he called him a JAG. JAG, which stands for just a guy, which is an awesome thing, and I'm totally taking that. But he called him a JAG. He's just a guy. He's nothing special. He's not very good. He's just a guy. He's fine. And Jerry Jeudy did not like that. And he had a verbal altercation with Steve Smith Sr. on the sideline before the game with tons of reporters there. Expletives were thrown back and forth. It was just a really not great situation. So Steve Smith Sr. decided to go on the air with Amazon and I think it was NFL Network, and just completely put him in the dirt.
Yeah,
ripping into his game, his attitude, all that stuff. And can't say it wasn't good to see with someone with that attitude. But yeah, dude, it was definitely an interesting look for Jerry Jeudy, and I would be surprised if he finishes this season with the Broncos.
Yeah, it's been a very tough year for him. Yeah, not great. For my loser, I'm gonna go with kind of a breaking news story that broke today on Thursday. Michigan football, Tanner, I don't know if you've heard, but they are under investigation for in-person scouting violations. So what that means is they have been sending individuals to attend opponent games, specifically college football playoff bound teams, so the top dogs of college football, to gather info on their signs, like to signal plays into quarterback and defense and all that.
Man, wouldn't that just stink if this just derails their season?
Yeah, I'd be heartbroken.
Maybe give them a little punishment on top of it. Oh,
shucks.
Yeah. Shucks.
Yeah, we definitely wouldn't be disappointed.
No, we would not. I mean, I can't say I'm shocked, bro. It's just what sucks about sports is obviously we look up to them so much, we talk about them so much, they run our lives, and then stuff like this happens where it's just one team is blatantly breaking the rules, one team's cheating, and it just sucks.
Yeah,
just sucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Altuve foul. I thought he might have gotten it, but yeah, it just sucks.
Speaking of cheaters,
nice. But did I mention it sucks?
Yeah,
because I mean, Michigan, obviously, I had them as and have for a while now as the best team in college football. They've just been an absolute buzzsaw running through whoever is in front of them. But they're breaking the rules. So, although I am interested to see where is their game versus Penn State this year. Yeah, I know we have Penn State, Ohio State coming up this weekend, November 11th. They go to Happy Valley. Woo, mama.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but still.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Because what did Harbaugh self-impose for?
Oh, that one he like bought someone a cheeseburger or something.
Oh, it was like a recruiting thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like they went to like Burger King for lunch or something. It was so
L.
stupid, dude.
L take.
I'm telling you, it's now this one I can maybe understand. Although half of me thinks like if it's a football game, why can't they scout it? If they're trying to learn like signs, that's a little shisty, but then just
Change
change your
them.
signs.
Exactly.
So, but so I don't really know how to react to this. Obviously, it's against Michigan, so
Yay.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've been under the impression that like if it's a football game and it's not a closed door, like it's not a closed door scrimmage or anything, it's an actual game. Who the hell cares who goes to it? Like
Mhm.
you should probably be allowed to go scout it, right?
Yeah,
But
it's definitely. I don't know what's gonna happen with it. Um, Obviously, Jim Harbaugh's covering his butt, making it clear that they are fully cooperating. They're not illegally stealing signs, off-campus scouting. So we'll see how that pans out. I'm sure we'll keep y'all updated on that.
there is a cinnamon toast crunch on the Minnesota Vikings field right now.
Duh.
What a commercial! Sorry, I just had to shout that out. Football team, my favorite cereal. How you doing?
So let's hop into some college football. Tanner, we're going to start on Friday night where Coach Prime takes on the Stanford Cardinal. He felt disrespected that they were playing on a Friday night and not a Saturday football game. And Tanner, for the first half, it looks like Dion played with the chip on his shoulder, coached well, players were playing well. They were up 22-0 at half. And they ended up losing this one 46-43 in double overtime. And Tanner, I want to remind you, Stanford is not a good football team.
Yeah, Sam, I think this is the one where the prime haters are just going to latch onto it because, simply put, this cannot happen if you're going to be a premier college football program. It simply cannot happen. You had an absolutely dominant first half, and I don't know if you saw Shadur Sanders, a tweet from his account at halftime. Again, that's not to say he was on his phone during halftime. Someone from his social media team, I'm sure he has one.
Yeah.
But still not a good look, obviously, especially when you freaking lose the game. But it just simply put, it can't happen. Stanford is bad. This is a Stanford team that scored 7 points against Utah, 14 against Washington State. Those are not good defenses, really.
Yeah.
And yeah, they scored 10 against USC, who could be the worst defense in the Power Five. Second behind Colorado, because the Stanford team scored 46 for the win in overtime. I mean, the team put up over 500 yards of offense. It was just embarrassing. And if you're Coach Prime, this is going to be the toughest part of your job, right? Because your entire team thinks they're on top of the world. They're invincible, right? They're the talk of college football. They're flashy. They have all the swag. They have all the glitz and the glam and all that stuff.
All the celebrities behind them, yeah.
You have all the celebrities that are there on the on the sideline, and everyone's watching. And you come out and you have a dominant first half. Starting to think maybe a few of them kind of thought they won the game after that and that they don't have to play anymore. And you'd think that getting your absolute ass beat by by Oregon and then losing to USC in a game where you might have given up more points than you did just now. You could not stop anything against USC. Well, you do it again here against Stanford. This is where the rubber meets the road for Prime, because he has to do something about this. Managing the expectations, managing the managing the hype around his team and his players. I mean, these are college kids who don't know how to react when every camera, every person, every celebrity is talking about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this was a prime example of it. And
nice.
I
see what you did there.
Yeah, right. I kind of I kind of feel bad for Prime because like he's been there, he's done that, and his players think they have, and think that they're like on that level, and yeah, they got to earn it. So Prime's definitely going to have his work cut out for him to drill into his players' heads because this was unacceptable.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, Tanner. I was watching this one, saw it was 22-0, and I was like, all right, Colorado's got it in the bag. Woke up, saw the final score, and I was like, how the hell did this happen? Especially when you have Travis Hunter back. I mean, he played phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. 5 tackles, 13 receptions, 104 yards, 2 duds. Definitely a valuable asset to Colorado as a whole, both on both ends. But I do want to, as much as we're crapping on Colorado, Samford did play phenomenal. Obviously, led by their quarterback Ashton Daniels, 27 for 45, 396 yards, 4 touchdowns. Just making this Colorado defense look silly.
Yeah, I mean, if you count second half and overtime, if you like second half and overtime, Stanford won. Let's see, quick math: 46 to 14.
Oh,
so
that's
yeah, can't happen.
Yeah,
Can't happen.
definitely tough road ahead for Colorado. It definitely does not get easier. UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State, and Utah to finish out the season. They're going to have a tough road to get bowl eligible, Tanner. I mean, they're sitting right now at 4-3. With that schedule, it's going to be tough.
Yeah,
let's see if Coach Prime can rattle his boys up and get them going on the defensive end, at least.
It's a shame because, like, again, I do want to make this clear that, like, Colorado's not really a good team.
Yeah.
That even if they don't go bowl eligible and they don't get bowl eligible, they can win like 5 games. That's a good coaching job.
Yeah.
From Prime. Obviously, they were awful last year. Mm-hmm. So, like, I just want to make sure everyone knows that.
Yeah.
You know, like, even if they don't, this was still a good coaching job by Prime, and Colorado will probably be a very good program for years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's stay in the Pac-12 here. The top dogs, Washington versus Oregon. Washington wins this one 36-33, claiming their leadership in the Pac-12. What were your thoughts on this one?
So my thoughts are there is none, nada, no reason why Oregon should have lost this game. They outgained Washington. Just from the eye test, they looked like they had control of the game multiple times. Didn't turn the ball over, at least in terms of fumbles and interceptions. They had a couple turnovers on downs, but Dan Lanning, we need to have a conversation, brother, because this was not your best coaching job.
No.
And I mean, I would say it might have been, but it 100% was the reason why you lost this game. Because you absolutely should not have lost. You should have won. So my biggest takeaway here is twofold. One, Dan Lanning, this one's on you, brother. It just is. And especially after the comments you made about Colorado earlier, your coaching style might be getting looked under a microscope a little bit. And not a great way to back that up. And then also, I think America got robbed because we deserved overtime in this game, and the missed field goal as time expired robbed us of that overtime. I was getting ready for overtime. I just grabbed another beer, cracked it open, sit for overtime, and of course, he missed the field goal. So the main one is Dan Lanning's got to be better.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's talk about Washington here, man. They are so fun to watch.
So fun. They are so fun.
If you would have told me a couple years ago Michael Penix Jr. would be the best quarterback, that is my statement. He's the best quarterback in college football right now.
Breaking news.
I'm claiming it. He played phenomenal this one. 22 for 37, 302 yards, 4 touchdowns. Him and Rome Odunze, however you say that last name. I mean, that connection is honestly one of the best in the country. But yeah, Washington's a lot of fun. proved a lot, but like you said, it came down to coaching in this one, and that's why Washington really came out.
Yeah, I just realized that I didn't actually explain why. So really, what I'm mainly getting at is at the end of the first quarter. When Oregon had the ball in the red zone and the time management was awful. And yeah, they didn't manage it very well, and they got down to the waning seconds of the half. And my boy Dan Lanning decided it would be a good idea to go for it with 2 seconds left in the half instead of taking the surefire field goal, which obviously would have helped a lot in this case. And some of the decisions to indeed go for it again, 0 for 3 on 4th down, would have liked to have had maybe those possessions back. Although, granted, Washington's offense did look pretty good, but part of the appeal of going for it on 4th and goal is that your opponent gets stuck with bad field position, right? That's kind of the no lose scenario we're dealing with here. And yeah, when at the end of the first half, that's obviously gone. So you absolutely have to take the points, and he didn't, and that was a big mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. Tough loss when it should have been won for Oregon, but this was a height of Pac-12 or future Big Ten, matchup.
Nice, dude.
Oh,
and then my last takeaway.
What?
You kind of mentioned it earlier. You said he was the best quarterback in college football. New target for to be quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings next year. He already looks good in purple.
There you go.
Oh, did he catch that? Oh, that was almost a sweet catch by Rashid Shaheed, one-handed, but it looked like he was out of bounds. But there's only one problem.
What's that?
The one thing that kind of scares me about him, he's a lefty.
Yeah.
That's scary. Other than that, I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, you do have Tua in the NFL, and he's kind of killing it. Like, guys, he's kind of good. Of a top talent, gonna go number one. I don't think there's much debate. Well, I don't know about that anymore, but we're gonna talk about USC Notre Dame. Notre Dame, we talked about it last week. This was a game they needed to win, and boy, did they prove it on the field. But 48-20, Notre Dame beats USC. What were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, what if I told you that USC actually outgained Notre Dame in this game? You probably wouldn't believe it from the score. USC, there's one thing that's going to win you football games. Your offense.
Yeah.
Your defense sucks. We all know your defense sucks. You're not going to stop literally anybody. This was a Notre Dame offense that was awful the past few weeks. When you turn the ball over 5 times, you're not going to win anything. 3 picks from Caleb Williams and 2 fumbles lost.
Yeah,
that's the game. That's the game. 5 possessions. 5 possessions. You lost by 28 points. 4 touchdowns. You gave 5 possessions away.
Yeah, I mean, special teams and defense is what won Notre Dame this game. They also had kick return for a touchdown late in the 4th. So yeah, absolutely. But I want to talk about Caleb Williams a little bit here. So he has 5 games against top 25 defenses in his career.
I'm here for a narrative. Let's
go. 21 Baylor, 21 Iowa State, 21 Oklahoma State, 22 Oregon State, and 23 Notre Dame. So obviously some times from his time at Oklahoma, but the story still holds true. So against Baylor, he went 9 for 18, 142 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions.
Not great, Bob.
Against Iowa State, 8 for 18, 87 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception.
Oh, remember that stretch when Oklahoma just couldn't beat Iowa State?
Yeah,
that was wild. Really weird.
Wild. And then again, Oklahoma State, 20 for 39, 252 yards, 3 touchdowns. So played well that game.
There, yeah.
Then against Oregon State, 16 for 36. 180 yards, 1 touchdown. 0 interceptions. And then this game, of course, 23 for 37, 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 picks, like you said. It seems to be a narrative that is coming into fruition for Caleb Williams is when he battles good, solid defense, he tends to struggle. And that's got to be a little scary if you're an NFL scout looking at
And
that.
I was going to say, to add more context into this, remember, Caleb Williams has played in the Big 12.
Exactly.
If there were 2 conferences for me to pick where I would want to play quarterback with the worst defenses, it would be the Big 12 and the Pac 12. So that's definitely concerning.
Yeah, definitely. Did you see what he is requesting, by the way, to the team who drafts him?
Gosh, what is it?
He is requesting partial ownership in the team.
What's this?
What?
I don't know. People be
Yeah, it is
like,
it is something.
I get in this that I get that the other side of this are bajillionaires of the owner, the owners of the teams are literal billionaires. But like, what happened to getting drafted, signing a $400 million contract and living your life?
Yeah, exactly.
What happened to that?
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, it was an interesting game. Definitely. If you would have told me Notre Dame scored 48, I'd expect Sam Hartman to. I was talking about last episode. It was kind of a legacy game for him, and he did not play well. I mean,
the thing
very
I
average.
just don't think he had to. Like 13 for
Yeah,
21.
he didn't have to. I will admit that.
Like, it's not. That's certainly not a bad game. He wasn't inefficient. He just, the defense and the running game didn't really need to do much else than the special teams, as you mentioned, and at a big time too. I think USC had just made it I think they had just made it a 17-point game or something, or maybe a 10-point game. Like they had just made it a pretty close game as a home run Rangers 3-1 Houston. But as just made a pretty close game, they can get a stop. Maybe things start to, and literally before you could blink, it was going back the other way for a touchdown. So
yeah. So we talked about all these high scoring games, Tanner. Let's talk about the absolute complete opposite. Let's go back in time to the 1930s where a forward pass was not allowed. Let's talk about our Iowa Hawkeyes going into Madison, winning 15-6.
Yeah, I'd like to fight back before you said Michael Penix was the best quarterback in college football. Deacon Hill completed 6 passes for 37 yards. So
right.
You're right. Bow down to the Deke. But this was awful. This was absolutely awful. Like the type of thing to melt your eyes out of your head.
Yeah.
Wisconsin was 2 for 17 on third down. Iowa was 4 for 17 on third down. For all keeping track out there, that's 6 for 34. Which is slightly, ever so slightly above 30 or above 18%.
That's good, man.
That's pretty good. Fourth down, Wisconsin was 3 for 4 for fourth down. What do you know? But it was just awful. 18 total punts,
so bad.
A mile in punt yards. Less than, I guess, Wisconsin did put up some yards and a little over 500 yards, 550 yards in the game, bajillion punt yards. It was gross. It was awful. Turnover, of course, Iowa didn't turn the ball over because they barely passed. 1 interception, 1 fumble for Wisconsin. I don't even really know what to say. Defense and special teams all the way. Ben, don't break from Iowa, and that's how we got here.
You mentioned the total yards for both teams combined was around 550. Oregon alone had 541 yards against Washington. But like you said, Tanner, this was the epitome of Big Ten West. My brother Eric said it is like watching paint dry, and I cannot agree more. I mean, I'm just going to dive a little more into those stats. Yards per play were 3.8 for Iowa, 4.2 for Wisconsin. Iowa had 10 points. Wisconsin had 8. But truly, this is different game, same BS. Deacon Hill, like he said, 6 for 14, 37 yards. The addition was LaShawn Williams playing last week?
He did play last week.
But him being a part of this offense, again, having a great game, 25 carries, 174 yards, 1 touchdown. One big injury for the Hawks. Eric All, our only guy catching the ball, towards ACL, out for season. So that's tough. But like you said, Tanner, our special teams is the best in the country. It's not even particularly close. Drew Stevens went 2 for 2 against Wisconsin, 7 points for a season, 12 for 15 from the field goal, 14 for 14 extra point. That's a total of 50 points, hitting a long of 53. And of course, who I think should be in the Heisman voting, our guy, Tory Taylor, 10 punts for 506 yards.
Both teams combined are what, 561 if my math is correct?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just want to show more love to this man. 46 punts, 48.6 average, 62 is his long, 2,235 total punting yards.
It's here.
Has a touchback percentage of 2.17, 18 within the 20. Also want to shout out Sebastian Castro becoming one of our best DBs. Obviously, a lot of attention goes to Cooper DeJean, deservingly so, but we need to show more love to Sebastian Castro. Had that huge pick in this one. But I got to admit, though, I think if Mordecai stays in the game, I think Wisconsin wins.
Probably. I mean, we took out their ability to throw the ball pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, our defense is good, but with the backup QB, and I mean, when you have Luke Fickle as your coach for the air raid, you're kind of put in a tough spot. But a lot to cover there. Obviously, the injury first. I don't even know. Like, it's a team that's already, you're just like, wow, they're really going to have to lean on their veteran quarterback who's been to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
2 great tight ends. They all got injured within the first 6 weeks, 7 weeks. So, yeah, now you're without all those guys. Your offense obviously looked terrible.
Shocking no one.
Yeah, shocking nobody. Tory Taylor is an absolute beast. I wish they had an MVP. Like, the Heisman is called the best player, in college football. Of course, we all know it's the best quarterback.
Yeah.
Except for the 1 year that Devontae Smith won it. But they need an MVP. It's like, who's the most valuable player to their team? And it 100% is Tory Taylor right now. That dude is unreal. We mentioned all the stats. Just simply doesn't kick it into the end zone. Huge weapon. Got another safety against Wisconsin. Iowa did. And then this is the one that confuses me, because anyone who listens to the pod knows about my thoughts on this coaching staff, on where we stand with Kirk and Brian and what we need to do to at least maybe help this program see the 21st century.
Yeah.
Sorry, the 20th century. We're back in 1800s. And I said, what's Kirk's response is always, it's because we win football games. And I said, well, you win football games, he's playing the Big Ten West. And yes, Wisconsin is a Big Ten West team. But this is a game they probably shouldn't have won. This is a game that you're out talented, especially with the injuries. And thanks to the culture and the team, Kirk, Brian, Phil Parker have built, you win this.
LeVar Woods, come on now.
And LeVar Woods,
show some love,
of course. And LeVar Woods, what you've built, you win this game.
Yeah,
you like, it's the one that really confuses me, because you shouldn't have won it, but you did, because you have some of the best defensive coaches and the best special team coaches, and talent on those sides of the ball is crazy. So, maybe he just is good at winning ugly, and maybe it's that actual skill that he has, and maybe it's not because all the Big Ten West teams suck.
Yeah.
I don't know. This one confused the hell out of me as an Iowa fan and what I want for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. So obviously, story surrounding Iowa football this year. The contract of Brian Ferentz, right? Win 7 games, average what 26 and a half? Was that it? It's changed, so it's hard to keep track.
Oh, what does he need to
Average
for the rest of the time?
Yeah.
Oh,
do you know?
I can do some math real quick.
I think it's 26, but at the beginning it was 26 and a half, where obviously
At the beginning of the year,
yeah,
it was 25.
25.
Yeah,
That's right. So with that being said, we have it. He's like up to 28 or something now. But we're sitting at 6-1. We control our destiny. We have a 76% chance.
Not only do we control our own destiny, we have a 0.75% chance. Like
of what we have, probably the worst slate of games to end the season. We got Minnesota to this weekend.
Gold uniforms, though.
Gold uniforms, so
pretty interesting. Iowa desperately needs a rebrand. Desperately.
Everything except special teams and defense. But with what I was trying to say is, if we do go to the Big Ten championship and we don't hit that mark of averaging 25 points a game, do they actually fire Brian?
Yeah, I feel like you have to, like, not just from obviously fans are always going to be super pessimistic. We always want change. The grass is always greener. But I just don't think you can, with the amount of press it got, the amount, the whole thing of your interim GM saying we're honoring this, even though it wasn't her that gave it out.
Yeah.
Like it's a big deal. And if you just look at that and say, nah, we're not going to honor that, that's also a big deal. That's like a pretty clear message to everyone out there that we just change things on the fly, which really is not a good look at all. So obviously, as a fan, I hope they don't do that, because I want the offense to be good. And plus, even if they want things to stay the same, they can, as we've said in the past, take him off play calling duty. So effectively fire him as the OC, put him on tight ends, O-line, quarterbacks, whatever the hell you want, bring in someone else, and I guarantee you they can do the exact same thing Brian did. I guarantee it. And I think that may be the better way to go, but also keep in mind the injuries. Can that be used as an excuse? Because the whole thing was veteran quarterback, good tight ends. Veteran quarterback, good tight ends. All are hurt.
Yeah, so I did some research. To reach that 325 after Saturday's game is 35.8
a game.
I believe so, per game.
Is she a goner?
There is no way.
Shot.
There's literally no way. That was from a random account. So he's at 146 total points on the year.
Needs to be at
175 was the game 7 goal. He's at 3. He needs 325. I'll let you do that math.
325 minus what's he currently at?
325. He is at. Hold on.
Oh man.
So he's at 146.
146, 325. And we have how many games left?
That was
5.
Yeah.
Yep, 35.8.
Oh my God.
Wait, hold on. How many? He's 325?
Yeah.
Don't they play 12? I guess, is that including a bowl?
I believe so. I think
so in that case it would be divided by 6.
Yeah.
So 325 minus 148? 146? How many points?
146.
146 divided by 6, including a bowl, it's 29.83.
And we are averaging 20.86 right now.
And one of them was a 41-point game.
Yeah,
the School for the Blind. So
it's definitely going to be interesting. Y'all know our thoughts on that.
I will say, though, one of my fears would be Brian Ferentz putting his own interests above the team. There was a pretty cool clip. Once Iowa, they got a big turnover. And they were up 12-6, so it was still kind of a dicey game late in the game. They got a turnover in field goal range, so of course they didn't dare try and move the ball. They just ran it 3 times, didn't dare try and throw it, and then kicked the field goal to make it a 2-possession game. And when they made it, there's a pretty cool video of Brian Ferentz being pretty fired up, taking the 2-possession lead, and that I gotta at least give him credit that he's still
has a team first
has
mindset.
the team's best interest.
Sure.
He sucks at his job though.
Thanks. That wraps it up for our NCAA talk. Tanner, let's kick off the NFL Week 6 recap with your Vikings taking on the Bears and end up winning 19-13. What were your thoughts on this one, man?
Oh boy, not good, Sam. Because I kind of needed this game to go one of two ways. I needed either the Vikings to come in and just show that they're on a different level than the Bears, and just show that, you know what, we're not out on this season. We're going to continue to play hard, and we're going to beat you into the ground. And that would have been okay with. And I'm like, okay, season's back on, kind of a little bit. We can build on this.
Yeah.
Or I wanted to just completely fall apart and get in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, right? So instead, what do? None of the above. And they barely beat the Bears in a game where they looked terrible. Kirk Cousins looked terrible. He threw for 181 yards. He did throw a touchdown, didn't turn the ball over. But it's not good, Sam.
No, it's not. It is not good.
It is not good at all. And this is a Bears defense that sucks.
Yeah, not good.
The defense is bad. And you had one of your worst games. You only ran for 46 yards in the game. The Bears outgained you. Like, there's just no possible way the front office can look at this game and say this season is back on. But they will. They will continue to put resources into this year. And of course, they will win just enough games to ensure that the future is nothing but terrible quarterbacks and just a sea of mediocrity.
Yeah.
And this was exactly the way I didn't want it to go. They were 2 for 13 on third down. This is the Bears defense, Sam. This is the Vikings offense that's pretty good. They scored 19 points.
Yeah.
You could tell me a win is a win, and I guess that's true. But when you look at the way this season is going and with the quality of opponent, this was honestly worst case scenario because you didn't gain draft position. This would have been a big win too over the Bears who you're fighting with for that draft position.
Yeah.
So you didn't, or excuse me, a big loss too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
You didn't gain any draft position, and you barely won. And my outlook on the season is not a shred different than it was a week ago.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very clear the Vikings were missing Justin Jefferson. Didn't have that kind of go-to guy and desperate need for Kirk Go. But like you said, absolutely no rushing game for the Vikings. It seems to be a common theme with this team, and if they do get a rushing game going, they're fumbling a lot. I do want to get your thoughts on this. If Justin Fields doesn't break his thumb, do you think the Bears walk out with a win?
I don't know, because Justin Fields looked awful. Like he had that game against Washington, and he had that first half against Denver, and we thought maybe he was taking a corner. My God, this was everything that he's had trouble with. Diagnosing defenses, he was terrible at. This is the Minnesota Vikings we're playing. They blitz on every freaking down. They have no safety help ever. They just bring everyone to the line, and he was just shocked time and time again that he was under pressure. He had no pocket navigation. He had no idea who was going anywhere. He couldn't sort out his protection for anything. I don't know, because yes, Bagent, whoever came in, definitely had a critical turnover. But other than that, he didn't look bad.
Yeah.
And he almost led the Bears back into this game, while Justin Fields was the one, of course, who built that whole that deficit. So frankly, would the Bears have won if Fields stayed healthy? I'm going to say no, but that has nothing to do with the Vikings defense. That has everything to do with Fields' inability to read a defense, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely concerns for the Vikings. Like you said, you covered that pretty well. Let's go to this game that shocked the NFL world. 49ers drop to the Browns 19-17. Tanner, try to explain this one to me.
By what I mean by that is every single person got hurt. Trent Williams gets hurt. Deebo Samuel gets hurt. Christian McCaffrey gets hurt. We've seen this movie before with the 49ers. So, I don't know how much stock to take in this because the Browns might be the NFL's best defense. They honestly might be. They don't have, I think the Cowboys would lead that stat in like points scored.
Yeah.
But in opponent points scored, I think the Browns might lead that. This defense is mean. They are nasty and they are scary. They play really tough football. And maybe Brock just wasn't prepared for it. I don't really know. It's obviously certainly not the time to press any sort of panic button for the 49ers. But you got to get healthy. And maybe with fully healthy guys, Brock will start to look like his old self again. But yeah, this was definitely a shocker, and I didn't expect it to happen. And I didn't even mention the fact that PJ Walker played quarterback for the Browns.
Yeah, it's crazy. It looks like you said, 49ers had live injuries. Looks like Christian McCaffrey, Deebo, and Trent Williams are all day-to-day as of this today, Thursday. So that's definitely a good sign.
Although they do get that extra day. They got a Monday night game this week.
And against Minnesota. Dubs for the 49ers.
Kidding me?
Brock Purdy looked human for the first time this season. It's amazing when you take out the best running back, one of the best receivers, what that does to a young quarterback. But this one was definitely interesting. Browns defense. Christian McCaffrey, even though he did get hurt, only 11 carries, 43 yards, 3 receptions, 9 yards, 1 touchdown. Deebo didn't have a single reception, only 2 carries and 11 yards. And then George Kittle, who's one of the best tight ends in the game, 1 reception for 1 yard. Just absolutely phenomenal defense by the Browns. Because let's be honest here, their offense wasn't doing much. I mean, PJ Walker, 18 for 34, 192 yards, 2 interceptions. Definitely an ugly game, but a big win for the Browns.
Yeah, I also just want to shout out Amari Cooper because no one talks about him anymore. But man,
I miss him.
What's that?
I miss him.
You miss him?
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, he's just a baller, man. He just goes out and puts up numbies. He didn't get in the end zone, but he had 108 receiving yards. Again, he went to Cleveland and we all kind of forgot about him, but this dude could play.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about another dominant defense. The Jets facing the Eagles and coming out with a win 20-14. Tanner, another confusing game. I personally didn't see this one going down the way it did, but what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely didn't either. And a lot of similar notes, right? A backup quarterback, a team that's probably not going to be able to move the ball very well at all. But a defense that is absolutely unreal. And I said the Browns may have the best defense. The Jets may have the best defense too. I mean, this is a home run Rangers. We're tied at 3. Corey Seager's pretty good at baseball. But anyway, this game it just makes me sick to my stomach for Jets fans because this is an unbelievable roster. Unbelievable. Like, now that Zach Wilson is at least getting a little bit more comfortable and looks playable at the position, they've won 2 straight.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, this team can just somehow scratch and claw their way into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers wasn't walking with barely a limp, no touches,
it's
throwing the football. I don't know if any of his ayahuasca hoorah tight eye crap
be
works,
nice.
but if like
Nah,
any
it's
sort of
crazy.
that play, this team would be unreal.
Dude, I think if Rodgers didn't go down, I think they're sitting undefeated right now. I mean,
6-0.
I mean, Jets, they beat the Bills 22-16. I think Rodgers increases that. Cowboys, it's at least closer. Personally, I think they might win that one. I think it's a total different game, obviously. They for sure beat the Patriots. They only lost to Chiefs by 3. Put one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean,
It's
probably
crazy.
the Broncos, and then this team with Zach Wilson beat the Eagles, and it's
sick to my stomach for him, man. It just sucks so bad. And there's nothing really you can do if you're the Jets. I mean, other than try and bring in some veteran, although obviously now's not the time to do it because Zach Wilson actually has looked playable at the position.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say good, but playable. But yeah, this roster is absolutely insane. That defense is absolutely insane. Yeah. Just somehow, some way, please get into the playoffs, and we could see some interesting things in the AFC.
Yeah, I mean they had 3 picks and 1 fumble recovery. That's a way to win football games when you don't have much of an offense. The last game here, Tanner, Monday night, Cowboys 20, Chargers 17. Tanner, what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, Sam, you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to pass this back to you.
Yeah.
Because, that's how we usually do it. Take your team.
Yeah. I'm so back in on the Cowboys. You heard my rant last week after we just got absolutely trashed, trounced. Insert negative verb here, and it fits a piece. Dude, just to let Dak play his game. I mean, 21 for 30, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. That's huge. But he carried the ball, 7 carries, 40 yards, 1 touchdown. When he can improvise, I think that's when he's at it best. And dude, believe it or not, when you get your wide receiver 1 more than 4 receptions or targets, he tends to perform well. 7 receptions, 117 yards. Just awesome to see the offense kind of getting going. I wish I would have saw a little more from Pollard. Didn't play tremendous, but a win's a win. Micah Parsons is my favorite. I mean, he's so freaking good. And he didn't really have the stats this game that he normally does. Just his impact on the offensive line he is facing is awesome. And of course, the game sealing pick by Stephon Gilmore, definitely a big pickup. And it's looking like we're back on track as the Cowboys for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, big time winning the offensive coordinator bowl.
Yeah,
gotta win against your former OC. You left to take another would be one thing if you left to be a head coach, but you took the same level job somewhere else. But yeah, you mentioned it. Get CeeDee Lamb the ball. I have CeeDee Lamb in fantasy. Get him the damn ball. And another thing you mentioned, let Dak be Dak. Just letting this offense be as dynamic as it can be, meaning using people in ways that are a little bit different than their main position, like allowing Dak Prescott to run for 40 yards and a touchdown, allowing Tony Pollard to be useful in the passing game again, 6 receptions for 80 yards, 1 less reception than CD. Like, those are your 2 best weapons. Yeah. How about you get him the damn football? And that's exactly what the Cowboys did. Because, this Chargers team is obviously so hard to figure out. All the talent in the world. Can't seem to win games for some reason. But yeah, I mean, big defensive performance coming up big, getting a couple turnovers big turnover from Justin Herbert. And I mean, it's definitely a great win on the road and only stuff to build on. I totally get why you'd be back in on it. Defense is good. Looks like the offense is actually using his weapons. And season back on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Tanner, obviously, I got to ask you about probably the biggest story from this game. The Chargers fan that was shown approximately 5,482 times. Is it legit? Is it a bot? Let me know.
Like, I'm all in for a good conspiracy theory. And you've seen the picture of her in the Vikings
Yep.
gear, which she said her son plays Little League for the
Yeah,
Vikings.
something like that.
Again, such a weird story. Such a weird story on why that would be the case. But I really find it hard to believe.
Also a Chargers fan. Like,
Yeah,
dude,
those don't exist.
yeah.
But I understand that if there's going to be any place you do it, it's going to be the Chargers because of what we just said.
Yeah.
But it's just like, why? The NFL has shown so many empty stadiums throughout their, all these Thursday night games when you watch the Jaguars play the Titans in a 6-6 game that with basically college quarterbacks playing. Like, we've seen it all on prime time.
Yeah.
We've seen so many empty stadiums. I just don't know why they do it this time, but it definitely looked off.
Yeah,
it definitely looked off. The emotions were running crazy, but hey, maybe some people are just like
that. Yeah. It was definitely interesting. It would be kind of funny if the NFL was like, yeah, that was
like, you got me.
It's actually an NFL edition of Impractical Joker. Sorry, guys. Yeah, it was definitely interesting. But that wraps it up for our NFL talk. Of course, we talked about college football, talked about NFL. That means we got to name our players of the week. Tanner, let me know who is your NFL player of the week.
Yeah, man. I think we're going to take a trip to the defensive side of the football for me. Definitely a little bit of a down week on the offensive side. And the people who had good weeks were definitely people who have had better weeks in the past, and it didn't feel right giving them player of the week this week when they've had better weeks in the past. But of course, I'm going to stay close to home here and someone who's all over the field for Minnesota. Actually, he won NFC Defensive Player of the Week honors. That is Jordan Hicks, the linebacker. He had 10 tackles, which led the team. He was, again, like I said, all over the field, which he also had a pick, and he recovered and returned a fumble for a touchdown. So an interception, a scoop and score, and 10 tackles to lead the team. He had an absolute hell of a game. So I'm going to give it to Jordan Hicks. And obviously I watched the Vikings game, of course, and the eye test told that exact same story all over the field, constantly making plays, really affected that game in so many ways. So yeah, Jordan Hicks, NFL Player of the Week.
Yeah, definitely deserving hearing that stat line. For my college football player of the week, I'm going to go on the offensive side here. And how can it not be Alik Manor? Definitely got that right. But boy, did he have a historic game. Something I haven't seen in a long time. 13 receptions, 294 yards, 2.6 per catch, and 3 touchdowns in upsetting Coach Prime and the Buffs.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah,
that was a crazy performance of him. Of course, the catch was insane catch in overtime. So yeah,
how could it not be, right?
How could it not be?
Right. You know what time it is, Tanner? It is time for let's take a look at what we did last week. Week 7, Oregon versus Washington. We both got Washington. USC, Notre Dame. I had Notre Dame. You had USC. Miami versus UNC. We both had UNC there. Vikings versus Bears. We both picked the Bears. So
probably should have won.
Colts versus Jags. I took the Colts. You took the Jags. Lions versus Bucks. We both took the Lions there. And then Cowboys versus Chargers. I took Cowboys. You took the Chargers. And then we both hit our super dog. I had Wyoming plus 10.5 versus Air Force. Oklahoma State plus 3 versus Kansas for you. So that put weekly total for me 7 and weekly total for you 6. So that puts our season total. You have a slight lead, 34 points to 33. We talked about getting that record of super dogs for y'all last week. Here it is. I'm 5-1. Tanner is 4-2.
Not bad.
Not bad for being our first year of doing this. The numbers are a little off because we didn't have it in week 1, so that's why the record is a little off, but that is where we sit. Let's see how we do this week. Let's kick it off. 11 a.m. game, college game day. Number 7, Penn State, Nittany Lions going to the shoe against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Number 3, Ohio State is a 4-point favorite. Who you got?
I love this matchup. It's start your day, right? I mean, it'll be 11 a.m. for us. Get a nice cup of coffee and watch some awesome college football. I have gone back and forth so many times because I just think one team has been more impressive this year. However, the other, I've doubted them multiple times this year, and they've done nothing but win. But I'm going to go with the team I thought has been more impressive throughout the year. We are. Penn State gets the road win in the shoe. I just think what Penn State has put on tape has been better. I think that defense is for real, one of the best in college football, and I'm going to roll with the Nittanies on the road.
Yeah, that's a great pick, Tanner. I also have the Nittany Lions. I have Penn State going pretty far. I think I had them in my college football playoffs. I personally think they are underrated as a number 7 team. I think they're one of the best teams in the country. They have been kicking the crap out of teams, outscoring opponents 266-48. Now, obviously, there's some like Delaware, but
there's some cupcakes in there. Delaware, Iowa.
The teams you should be killing, they are, and they are doing it well. This is a huge prove-it game for Penn State. I like Penn State going to Ohio State and coming out with a win. Tanner, let's go to the SEC side of things. Number 17, Tennessee taking on Alabama Crimson Tide. Number 11, 9.5-point favorites at home. Who you got here?
Yeah, it's interesting to me how these teams have looked. Tennessee really just kind of has a bad loss to Florida on that schedule. Other than that, they've been decently impressive. And then, of course, Bama has had an absolute roller coaster.
Yeah.
But really, they just have that one hiccup against Texas, who, obviously lost to Oklahoma. But other than that, was one of the best teams in the country. So I'm going to ride with the Tide at home. I just think they're the better team than Tennessee, and I'm going to lean with Nick Saban here. But keep an eye out for another close one. I mean, it's kind of been Bama's MO this year, beating Texas A&M by 6, Arkansas by 3. Haven't really looked all that impressive in the way they've won, but they, of course, have won. So I'm going to go with Bama at home.
Yeah, that 9.5 is interesting, especially because I have Tennessee going to Tuscaloosa. I think Joe Milton is going to – this is the game that makes him a well-known player. This is his legacy game. Bama has been, like he said, roller coaster central, struggled with Arkansas, who has not looked good this season. A couple tough losses there, narrowly escaping them last week. I just like Tennessee, man. I wish we were with the spread because I think we'd both be on Tennessee, but I like them straight up too. Give me Tennessee. Go Vols, Rocky Top, baby.
I like it. Rocky Top, Tennessee.
Next, dang, we are hitting all the conferences in this pick'em. ACC next, 16 Duke versus 4 FSU. FSU is 14-point favorites. Tanner, who do you got here?
Yeah, I love Duke this year. They've been an absolute against the spread machine. They're a really good football team, top 16 in the nation. They're not beating Florida State on the road. Sorry, just not going to happen. Give me the Noles.
That is where you are incorrect.
No. the road.
impacting Florida State's chance of college football playoff hope. Give me the Blue Devils on the road to Tallahassee, baby.
A big time pick. Ballsy.
Yeah.
Bold move, Cotton.
Yeah, we'll see if it pays off. Pac-12 next up, Utah, number 14, taking on the heartbroken USC Trojans, but they return home 7-point favorites at home. Tanner, who you got?
Yeah, this is a bounce back game for me. I think USC is going to be able to get this win at home. Utah has been such a difficult team to predict. Who knows what their quarterback situation is? I mean, is he still alive? I don't know. I
can tell you.
He's been questionable, probably going to play, hasn't played. The offense has looked suspect a lot of the time. I just think USC is going to be a little pissed. Caleb Williams is going to be pissed. Lincoln Riley's going to be pissed. I think that offense is going to have a hell of a day, and I just think they're going to be able to outscore Utah. So give me the Trojans.
Yeah. So Cam Rising is still questionable. Probably
10th week in a row.
Probably going to use his red shirt because he supposedly has one of those.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. Don't care.
Utes.
Give it to you. Yes, sir. Go Utes. Give me the Utes. I know this. Our listeners of it have not been very high on Caleb Williams. I think he's a little overrated. I'm not gonna lie. They have the worst defense. You said it, Tanner, and still rolling with them. That's bold. Talk about bold moves. Give me the Utes going to USC and pulling out a big victory. That wraps it up for the college football pick'em. Let's go over to the NFL side of things. Chargers, Chiefs at home with Tay in attendance. 5.5 point favorites for your Chiefs. Who you got?
I mean, it's just like completely. I know they're both really talented. They're division rivals. They play all the time, but they're just completely different franchises. One team just continuously finds ways to win, and the other continuously finds ways to lose. And I'm going to go with the team that continuously finds ways to win. Plus, it's a big bonus that you'll have the refs on your side constantly. Give me the Chiefs at home getting the win here. Yeah, it's not much else needs to be explained.
That's a good pick. I'm not going against the Swifties. I'm not going against Travis Kelce. I'm not going against Patty Mahomes. I'm not going against Andy Reid, and I'm sure as hell not going against the refs. Give me the Chiefs here. Next up, a very interesting matchup. The Dolphins versus the Eagles in Philly. Philly is a 1.5 point favorite. Who you got?
Yeah, this one should be awesome. I've definitely gone back and forth on this one as well, but I think I'm going to lean with the Dolphins. Give me the road team to get the win at the link. At the link. That's 2 in a row for the Eagles. Losing after this week, of course, if my prediction comes true. But when looking at this game, the Eagles just really haven't been all that impressive for me, and namely, it's on that defensive side of the ball. They were one of the best defenses a year ago. Yeah. One of the things that made them so scary. When this year, the defense doesn't look as good. However, they just aren't as healthy. That secondary is kind of gashed with injuries right now. And of course, that's not a good thing when you're going up against Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and of course, Tua slinging it back there. So I think the Dolphins are just going to be able to come out, kind of blitz the Eagles, get things going, maybe take the crowd out of it a little bit, and they're going to be able to outscore them again, because I do think this one might be a little bit of a high-scoring game with the way some of these teams play. So give me the Dolphins to get the win on the road, not the road on the win.
No, absolutely not.
Wrong.
Jalen Carter's coming back. Dallas Goedert's coming back. Darius Slay practiced today. I think they're going to get back their dogs. I got the Eagles at home. Philly is obviously one of the toughest places to play. I haven't looked up the the weather report. I heard the Dolphins don't play well in cold weather.
I mean, they wear teal. Teal's not a cold weather color.
This is true.
I honestly think
the high is 58 on Sunday.
Right, but it's Sunday night, I think. So
the low is 43.
Probably be closer to the low.
50. Little 50 action, 56.
I think that's definitely playable.
No, it's not.
I mean, no. They're just gonna cancel the game. Cancel the game. But I also think something to consider. Philly kind of got something else on their mind. The Phillies are the number one focus of the city. I wonder how packed and into it the crowd will be. Because the Phillies kind of have the city in a chokehold right now in terms of the fandom. So
this is true.
Things to consider.
Things to consider, man. Tanner, it's time for dogs. Who you got?
Yeah, so this is actually a team who I picked as a super dog before, and they came through for me. And I like their and give me now. This team has had an absolute roller coaster of a season. They got off to a really hot start, kind of climbed up on the rankings, but has lost 2 straight. Sam won a game that was kind of a tough matchup a week ago, facing off against the high-flying Tar Heels. But the week before that, they had one of the most embarrassing losses of the season, a really bad head coaching decision by Mario Cristobal, but gets the Hurricanes returning back home. I was honestly impressed with the way they played against UNC. They hung in that game a while. I'm really high on UNC this year. I think that's a really good football team. And Miami hung with them much better than I thought they would. And then take a look on the other side of the ball. Clemson's just not a good football team.
Yeah.
Right. They got blown out by Duke. Then the other teams they played, all right, they had a close loss against Florida State at home, whatever. They kind of beat the crap out of Syracuse, fine. But then they had welcomed Wake Forest to fake Death Valley, and they win 17-12, Sam. This Wake Forest team stinks. They had a rough week last week. I just don't think Clemson's very good, and I think they're going to have a tough time going into Hard Rock Stadium. So give me the Hurricanes to pull off the upset over Clemson. They're getting 3 points. So Miami +3 is my super dog.
Yeah, a lot of similarities between your and my super dog. I'm going with Washington State Cougs here. +20 against Oregon. Now, I know Oregon has looked great all season. Washington State can put up points with the best of them. They've had some struggles the past 2 weeks, just like Miami got absolutely smoked by Arizona, 44-6. UCLA dropped that one 25-17. A lot of close games. But I think this is a get-right game for Washington State. I like what they've done behind their quarterback, of course, Cam Ward, traditional gunslinger. I like Washington State +20 against Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. I mean, 2 teams that, like, seriously are having the same season. Hot starts, bad losses, haven't looked great recently, but get rights galore, hopefully.
Yeah. We'll see how we do. Let us know who your super dog is for the week. But let's wrap it up, Tanner. We got some questions from our wonderful listeners. Jaron Kirkendall wants to know, do you guys believe that the Pac-12 and the Big Ten are the best conferences this season?
Yeah, I do. Simply put, I do. And I this could be a little bit of like, I don't know what's the word, like expectation bias, I guess. But simply put, the Big Ten has 3 of the top 10, if not top 5 teams in the nation, in Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. Obviously, we'll start to separate those this weekend with Penn State and Ohio State playing. But when you have a top 3 as strong as that, it's going to be pretty hard to not say that conference is a top 2 conference in college football. And you have some other, like, obviously we talk about Iowa, we clown on Iowa. They're number 24 right now. They're 6-1, and they're probably going to win the Big Ten West unless they fumble in Lincoln. But yeah, I think there are teams in there that don't completely suck, like Rutgers,
Yeah.
like I don't think Nebraska completely sucks.
Yeah.
I think they're doing okay, and I don't think Maryland completely sucks. Maryland had a pretty bad loss last week against Illinois, but that's not a bad football team, and they've shown it this year. So you have some depth pieces there. You have Iowa lurking in the number 24 in the nation, and you have the top three. So I think certainly the Big Ten. And take a look at the Pac-12. I mean, Washington might be like it's one of the best teams in the nation, right? You have Washington, you have USC, who obviously had a tough game against Notre Dame, but they still only have one loss. They still have, well, not anymore because Sam just declared Michael Penix the best. So they still have the reigning Heisman and probably number one pick and maybe the best quarterback. They have Sam's best quarterback. They still have those depth pieces with Oregon State. Washington State's obviously, as you said, they've been slipping a little bit. But Arizona, we're gonna start talking about Arizona.
Yeah,
like they looked really good against USC. They beat the crap out of Washington State. Of course, you have Colorado, who's at least we'll give them that they're the talk of college football, right?
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot going on in the Pac-12, but I just think those two teams are the best. Take a look at of course, the big one that we're missing is the SEC. I mean, what their top 25 teams right now are Georgia, obviously,
Tennessee, and
Bama. Is Ole Miss ranked anymore?
I don't believe so.
That's it, right? I mean, Missouri. Oh, LSU. Is LSU ranked?
Let's look here.
But realistically, how many teams are competing for the playoff? Oh, that ball's gone. Jose Abreu just hit that into orbit.
Yeah, so we got Bama at 11. Ole Miss is 13. Then we got Tennessee at 17. LSU at 19. Missouri at 20. And that's it for the SEC. So
I think there's an argument there that you can throw the SEC, but SEC just doesn't have the top level
talent.
Level. Alabama's not making the playoffs. Sorry, they're just not.
Yeah.
Like any one of those Big Ten teams can, and maybe even two of the three will. That's just not happening in the SEC. So
yeah,
for that reason, if you want to put them, I don't think you can put them ahead of the Big Ten. You might be able to put them ahead of the Pac-12, but again, like I said, USC can still make the playoff. Washington can still make the playoff. Yeah. I guess Bama could, but you have the best team in there, so you're just gonna kind of cannibalize themselves. Where if Georgia wins the SEC, no other team is making it.
Yeah, exactly. I agree to an extent. Pac-12 definitely. Big Ten, the West, probably.
The West is awful. Yeah,
awful.
Let's call it what it is. It's awful.
But they still have a top 25 team. But to answer your question, I totally agree, especially with what you said, Tanner. Tanner, we got a question from your brother. He wants to know: Deacon Hill or Joe Labus?
I mean, it's really hard not to say Labus.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like, do you fix it if it's not broken? Which it depends on what your definition of broken is. Because I guess it might be broken, but you're winning games, right? And what do you? And one thing, I don't think like Deacon's not really turning the ball over, which is good to have when your defense and special teams are that good.
200 miles per hour.
He does throw Jacob DeGrom fastballs from the backfield, but. I'm just gonna say it. Give me Labus. He won a bowl game. I think they scored 28 points in that bowl game. Granted, 2 pick sixes, but no, doesn't count.
It counts towards Brian's contract.
It would count if it counts towards Brian's contract. It counts right now. That's what I always say. But at this point, yeah, it's hard to. There's nothing Deacon's doing right now that Labus can't.
Yeah, I totally agree. He did say he's going with Deacon Hill because he thinks it gives the Hawkeyes the best chance to win.
Okay,
which is interesting. I disagree with you, Mason, because Deacon Hill has shown me absolutely nothing of why we should keep him in, and Joey Labus has, given it's been last year. But last question of the episode.
Real quick. Can I just say one more thing?
Go ahead.
Dear Kirk Ferentz, will you please use your 450-pound quarterback in a Damn QB sneak every once in a while.
Yeah.
Down and short cheat code.
Yeah.
That's okay. That I said my
Beautiful. Last question comes from your mom, also a merchandise purchaser. Shout out you, Miss Dislin. She wants to know, last weekend was a weekend of the underdogs in the NFL. What do you think happened? Is there a parity in the NFL now?
I think there is. Like, it's just it's funny that we talk about this after the week we had, because right now the Dolphins, the 49ers, and the Eagles seem to be on a different level, right?
Yeah.
Then you have probably your second tier would probably be the Cowboys.
Lions.
Yeah, you throw the Lions in there. But other than that, everyone is the same.
Yeah.
Like the Saints, I guess we'll throw the Jags in like that. Cowboys, Lions, Jags, Bills. Oh, I forgot about the Chiefs. Chiefs are in the elite. But like,
yeah. No, I know.
Teams in there, which I'd probably say maybe 8.
I'd say
8 teams in there, and then everyone else is just bad.
Yeah.
Like the Saints, the Vikings, the Chargers, the like they're all just the same.
Yeah.
Like they're all the same, and there's so much parity between those teams. So when you have so many that are just there, and that the quality of play is bad, and like so many close spreads with these teams, yeah, I mean, you're just going to get some upsets that happen. Obviously, it was pretty interesting that they were all this past week, and a lot of them were to backup quarterbacks. But yeah, I mean, I do think there is that. Pretty much you have the select few that are in that either elite or like good tier, then everyone else is just the same.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree. I think there is a parity, like Tara said. It's like 8 really good teams that slip up every once in a while, and a lot of bad teams. And sometimes the bad teams play their best game against the good teams, like we saw last week.
A lot of bad teams. And I actually got a text from my brother too. He just like texted me when he said something about the NFL is just borderline unwatchable this year.
Yeah.
Between refs and between just teams sucking. Like, how many times do we log on? We see a primetime game. Obviously, that's not the case this week. Dolphins, Eagles should very much deliver. But a lot of we just look at it, we're just like, oh. Like we had Packers, Raiders the other day. Like, who cares? Even this, like I know we had Jaguars in our decently good tier, but like Jags on the road at New Orleans, who cares?
Yeah.
And before that, it was what? It was Chiefs Broncos. Like, come on, that game sucks.
Yeah.
Like it's just completely disinteresting.
Yeah, absolutely. But
are we gonna watch it? Yeah, I mean it's disinteresting in terms of NFL.
I mean,
it's way more interesting than Diamondbacks A's on a June 15th night, but in terms of NFL, like it's not that interesting.
Yeah, but we're also sickos. I mean, we watch a Iowa offense every week.
Enjoy it.
Okay, that's a spicy take. I don't know if I enjoy it. I enjoy 4th downs on offense.
We don't sneak them.
I know Corey Taylor's a dog.
Oh, I see.
But that will wrap it up for episode 106 with the N326 duo. Congrats. You have made it to the end of the episode. So shout out to you. We talked about this episode, a lot of college football, a lot of NFL, talked about some picks, our super dogs, answered a couple of questions. Let us know if you think the Pac-12 and Big Ten are the best conferences this year. Let us know why you think the way you do. Deacon Hill or Joey Davis. And is there parity in the NFL? Let us know. You can let us know on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at crunchtime_pod. Also, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crunch Time with the N326 duo. But with that, clock has run out on this episode, but we will see you on the next one on Crunch Time.
Go Snakes.